So welcome everybody. I'd like to thank Noah for the very warm introduction, and I'd like to bow to my teacher. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, and neither would any of you. So Rebecca Solnit this week reminded me that we are sitting as the beneficiaries of a forest. So take a moment and look around at the wood pillars in the ceiling and realize that we are, in a very real way, living inside of a tree. It's kind of remarkable. This whole place is kind of remarkable. How many people are here for the first time? Oh, that's wonderful. As we say in the recovery movement, keep coming back. How many people are not here for the first time, but are seeing this amazing Buddha for the first time? If you have a moment, I think it's really good to take a look at that statue. It's a complete Dharma teaching into itself. The face, the welcoming arms. You can't see it because there's an altar in front of it, but there are several small birds gathered around the feet of the Buddha. So this is another act of radical beauty that Roshi Joan wished into being. But that's maybe a story for another time. If you look at the statue of the Buddha, if you come to Upaya, the statue is amazing, but there are Buddhas all over Upaya. If you look to your left, give it a try. Look to your right. Look at your own two hands and feet. And then there are a number of statues around campus as well. And each Buddha is a Dharma teaching. The Dharma traveled around the world in the form of statues and little bits of scrolls. And it's just remarkable how it dispersed and came together and arrived here. So when you look at a Buddha, it's always trying to teach us something. There's the shape of what we call a mudra, which is, you'll see when we sit Zazen, we sit like this. It's the mudra of universal awareness. And there's another mudra that I'd really like to talk about tonight, just really briefly. And it's this mudra here. Can everybody see? So our left hand is earth, and our right hand is facing up. Our fingers are very touching. It's like this. This is the Mudra of Fearlessness. And this is it's called Abhaya. And the 5 fingers of this mudra represent the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. If you've come to Upaya for practice, you've heard that at our meal chat. So the first thing I hope you can take from this mudra is the nourishment of earth, water, fire, air, and space. Now it is said the Buddha used this mudra to stop a rampaging elephant. And there's a little bit of disagreement amongst people, but that's okay, because there always seems to be a little disagreement, no? Lately? So, some people believe that the mudra symbolizes fearlessness and protection. But I believe the mudra summons forth fearlessness and protection and care. Now, you might, when you first do this, you might feel like this isn't summoning much of anything. And that's okay. Just feel what it does summon for you. And then if you feel like it's not really being very effective, practice. Just practice it every day. This mudra is usually done, you usually see Buddhas doing this mudra standing up. Because if you're going to stop a rampaging elephant, you want to be at its sight. So practice this. You can brush your teeth in the morning and then just stand in front of the mirror and practice. Or after you sit Zazen, you can stand and practice. So I would really encourage everyone to do that. And the reason for that is some people may have a sense that there is a rampaging elephant. And the rampaging elephant really doesn't stand a chance against the Dharma. So you are here right now in this incredibly safe place of refuge. You are warm, you are safe, you are surrounded by friends. Just take a moment and let that sink in. What a precious gift this mountain retreat of wisdom and compassion is. You are safe here, completely safe. You are well cared for. You are surrounded by warm friends. You can summon this forth anytime. So I really encourage you to work with this. And after a year, you can, if it's not working for you, then give it just one more year. And then I'll check back with you. Right? Do not succumb to fear. You can do this. We can all do this. As Noah mentioned, the title of this talk is Winter is Coming. And the first person who found that out was my wife. And her immediate reaction was, oh, good, you're going to talk about the holidays. The second reaction was from my Dharma brother, who thought it sounded ominously like the Game of Thrones. Winter is coming for the House of Frey, or Fry, or whatever it was. But of course, I wasn't thinking of the holidays, nor was I thinking of the Game of Thrones, nor was I thinking of the current world situation. I'm kind of a one-trick pony, so I was thinking of a poem from Dogen. So a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is going to be invisible, which means a lot of it's going to be intensely visual. So I would encourage you, if you feel comfortable and safe, at certain moments to close your eyes and let the words enter your ears and let the mind paint the picture. And we'll try to work with that together a little bit. Now, many people think that winter is coming is kind of a challenging thing, but to students of the way, winter is, like everything else, another Dharma gate to be fully entered. In our tradition, winter is in many ways, it's the most yin time of year. The days are short, the nights are long, it's dark, it's quiet, nature's gone to rest. The trees have shed their leaves, the bears have retreated into their caves, the water has slowly, slowly frozen into ice. It's quiet, it's dark. It's a perfect time for restoration, contemplation, and practice. There's nothing to be afraid of in winter. But because of its darkness, sometimes winter gets a bad rap. Because of its coldness, sometimes winter gets a bad rap. But winter is natural. Winter is as natural as spring, summer, and fall. So if you will close your eyes for just one moment, I'd like to introduce you to a short poem by Dogen. On a withered branch, a crow has settled. This autumn evening, and now winter is coming. On a withered branch, a crow has settled. Autumn evening, winter is coming. This poem was written in the 13th century, at the very beginning of the 13th century. So it was written on a lunar calendar. So an autumn evening is tonight, just like tonight. So the question is, what is the withered branch? Who is the crow? Is it a raven? Is it a messenger? Is it a silhouette against the sky? This autumn evening, who is inhabiting it? Who is this autumn evening? Winter is coming. What could that possibly mean? Winter is often used as a symbolism in Zen. Dogen Zenji uses it often. And so in this time when it's dark and things seem to be very challenging for so many people in so many places, not just here, but all around the world, we are reminded by winter of the steadfastness of practice. Every day, just try it. Dogen has another poem. And so you might want to close your eyes and see what you see with this one. Even in snowy winter, it is green. The pine tree, standing resolutely against the snowstorm's onslaught. Even in winter, it is green, the pine tree, standing resolutely against the snowstorm's onslaught. So we have this lone green pine tree in this field of white, and the wind is blowing, and it's blowing, and it's blowing, and the snow is blowing, and the tree is standing there. Who is this tree? Who is this tree? We sit in Zazen, and the wind of thoughts blows and blows and blows. And ideas and concepts and attachments and memories and regrets and fantasies fly like snow. But we sit resolutely, unmoving through the course of the snowstorm. This is winter practice. There's another poem by Dogen that talks about being resolute and being rooted in place, right? And I think that along with fearlessness, being rooted in place is something I would like everyone to take home with them. And this is your place. This is where you belong. You are here. You are meant to be here. We can stand in this place. So here's another poem, a different plant this time, but frost on the window. I remember when I was a boy, I grew up in Saskatchewan where it's very cold. And we would get frost on the window and we would scrape it off and make paintings out of it. Frost on the window, snow covering the ground. The ground just covered in snow. You can't see out of the window because it's covered in frost. Yet vaguely, the bamboo stands tall, unyielding, rooted in place. The bamboo stands tall, unyielding, rooted in its place. A long time ago, I wrote a poem about how bamboos teach us to bow. The bamboo absorbs all the weight of the snow, all the weight of the world, all the weight of the water, all the pressure of the wind, the incredible peer pressure of the wind. And all it does is bows. It expresses its gratitude for its hardship in the same way that it expresses its gratitude for its joys, it bows. It bows and it stands up. It bows and it stands up. Here we live on the Gregorian calendar, which is a little different than the calendar that Dogen lived on, because Dogen lived on a lunar calendar. But because we're Zen students, we also live on a lunar calendar. For we practice this thing called, this ceremony called Fusatsu, the ceremony of atonement. And we practice it on the full moon every month. And we bow, 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 and we bow. And the next day, surprisingly, or at least for me anyway, my body recalls all of those bows. And it also recalls my atonement. Because all of the people here, these remarkable residents, all of the lay community, everyone here who's taken the precepts is doing their best to live by these good precepts. Yet we all fail. So we have to make atonement. We atone and we try to do better. The bamboo teaches us how to bow. The pine tree teaches us how to stand in place. Roshi Joan often says, soft front, strong back, bamboo and pine. You'll see these two painted in scrolls all through the centuries. The bamboo and the pine in the snow of winter. This is winter practice. When the storms come and you feel overwhelmed, or you feel frightened, or you feel like just agog in disbelief, bring up your hand, bow, and remain in your place. This is the teaching of winter practice. So here's one more from Dogen. In the depths of winter, sitting alone in Zazen, the cold pierces through. It gets into your skin and goes through your flesh and embeds itself in your very bones. The cold pierces through, yet the heart is warm with the fire of the Dharma. You know, I've had the privilege to visit a great many temples with Roshi Joan in China and Japan, and now I live in Japan, and it can be quite cold in Japan. But that doesn't seem to inspire anybody to buy a heater. Roshi Joan and I can't even remember what temple it was, but it was up in the mountains. It was above Takayama, I think. It was in the Japanese Alps, and we were at this little temple, and there's there's a group of us, but a small group of us were in the temple, and three of us, I think maybe Noah was there, I can't remember, but we were attempting to chant the Heart Sutra, right? And we chant this all the time, the Heart Sutra. And I was so cold, I couldn't stop my teeth from chattering. So if you've ever tried to chant a sutra with teeth that are chattering, it's extraordinarily difficult. It is cold sometimes in the Zendo. I was talking to one of the residents about what do we do when it's cold in the Zendo? And it's like Zazen will warm you. We put our mind in our hara. This is where the fire of our body is. And we will warm ourselves. And then not just the posture, not just the mudra of Zazen, but the warmth of the Dharma. There is As we always say, Dharma gates are boundless and I vow to enter them. But as we study the Dharma, we find there answers to our questions. We find ways to behave. We find ways to ask questions. We find ways to be like the bamboo, to bow in gratitude to everything. To be like the pine, to stand in the snowstorm. Just stand in the snowstorm. Out front of Upaya, there's a pine tree. It's about 7 feet tall, has cones on it. And I planted it when I received Dharma transmission. Then I left. And I was gone for like 6 years. And I was quite convinced that the tree never made it. And one of the reasons is when we planted the tree, we dug I dug this deep hole, and we'd been in drought for years. And so I literally had an axe, and I was like chopping bricks to dig this deep hole. And then I pulled the tree out of the pot, and the root ball was so small. I thought, the hole was so big. I thought, oh, this is just like a tiny ornamental tree, but so I had dug the hole, and so I filled the hole in, and I planted the tree and watered it, and then after a short while later, I went to Japan, and then I came back, and as soon as I walked into the kitchen, one of my old Dharma friends said, "Have you seen your tree? You should go see your tree." And I went out, and it's this tree. It's 7 foot tall. My immediate thought, and I think it first thought, best thought, is that tree has better practice than I do. So I look at it every morning, and I take it as a teacher. Stand tall, soft front, strong back. And then here's another poem from Dogen. Walking the snowy path. So when I first got here, there was the election results, and then there was a big snowstorm, and so we were walking around in snow my first day here after getting off the plane, and walking the snowy path. Each step reveals the truth of impermanence. Snow beneath melts into nothing. Snow beneath melts into nothing. And as we walk through life, we so often think that this is it. This is all there is. We freeze things all the time. And sometimes we need to do that so we can recognize them as objects and use them. But we do it with people. Somebody does something or says something, and we freeze them into that activity. We do it, so they're a nasty person. Oh, they're a cheap person. Oh, they don't understand me. We make them into cartoons. And then once we make them into cartoons, we turn them into gifts and run them around in our brain. This is a dangerous practice. I spent a long time in prison. That's not true. I spent a long time visiting a prison. And society is taking these people who may have done something. And I say may, because most of those people plea bargain their way into there. And I don't know whether they're guilty of what they're accused of or not. But whether they did it or not, that's not who they are. That's the thing that they did. And we do this over and over again. So when we take a step in the snow and we see the snow transform and melt away underneath our feet, let's remember that that's true of everything. Things don't change. Change sometimes does things for a while. For a while, change is a thing. This coffee cup, for example. So let's try to remember that in the dark of winter, when everything seems frozen and it's all ice and rigid and cold and seems impossible, let's remember that it's not. And let it melt it. Let's melt it with our wisdom and our compassion and our practice and the warmth and the fire of the Dharma. I love Dogen because of so many reasons, but he has, you don't have to study the Shobogenzo or the Eiheroku or the rules for the monastics or any of that. You could just spend your whole life reading Dogen poems. Right? He wrote them in Chinese, he wrote them in Japanese, and they're translated into English by various people, and they're just wonderful companions. I have a couple of more Dogen poems, but I'm only going to do one because someone approached me and told me that I should not run over time, to which I responded, I don't have a driver's license, but I'm not sure that's what they meant. So this last poem is from my teacher. My teacher, I don't think it's a secret, and if it is, I'll just get into trouble. My teacher had a fall and she broke her arm, and she got a titanium rod in it, and it's kind of restricted her activities a little bit. So she's only doing, about the work of 3 or 4 people. So she's really kind of, dialed it down. A couple of people were put to bed, metaphorically speaking, because nobody would actually do that. Well, my teacher is a mountain person in her bones. And she loves to be in the mountains. She loves to be at her refuge. And I have memories of trapezing through the Himalayas with Roshi Joan. If you think of yourself as being somebody important, I suggest you take a stroll in the Himalayas because you will realize, oh, God, are we puny? It's an amazing thing. And it makes me recall Dinan last week was talking about going in circles. And I love going in circles, actually. I think going in circles is a really wonderful thing to do. And Rosh and I went in a circle around Mount Kailash in the Himalayas. But she's not an ocean person, she's a mountain person. And Dogen wrote this poem about his refuge in the mountain. And he says, my hut in the white mountain Koshi. My hut in the white mountain of Koshi. Completely enclosed in ice and snow, wrapped in a cloud. It's a place of refuge. Today, more than ever, I think the world needs the refuge of the Dharma. And I really encourage the people who are new here for the first time, please come back. And for all of you who support Upaya through your presence and your donations and your membership, please continue to do so. This is an amazing and authentic Zen center. My rap, besides chasing students around with a stick, which is not true, I never did that, is that I'm a bit old school and fussy, and that's true. And I love the Dharma, and I love Dogen. And a lot of what I see happening in Western Zen is just not my cup of tea. And I'm just a traditionalist. That's my rap. But this place is real. This is not cowboy Zen. This is like rooted in the Dharma. It's very authentic. So I really encourage you to support it, and I really encourage you to be nourished from it. And I really encourage you to do this every day, just for a year, just for a year. It'll work. I promise you. I promise you. I'm going to end with one more poem. It's not by Dogen, because even a one-trick pony has to learn how to do two things. It's by a famous poet in Japan, a modern poet. His name is Miyazawa Kenji. The remarkable thing about this, well, there's many remarkable things about this poet, but one of the remarkable things about this poet was that this poem was never published while he was alive. And it was found in the back of a notebook in a drawer when they were just, after his death, getting, tidying things up. And fortunately, somebody found it. And fortunately, they were nosy enough to open this guy's private notebook and read it. And unfortunately, it was translated. And if you go on the web, the internet's the domain of my friend Kodo, you will find many renditions of this poem in English. There's some wonderful people who read this poem way better than I do. So if the poem sticks with you, I would encourage you to go. Ken Watanabe does a nice version of it. There's a number of versions of it, but it's an amazing poem. This poet was brought up Jodoshu, which is Pure Land, but he fell in love with the Lotus Sutra. And he wrote these amazing children's books. And he made some money at the end of his life. And he willed his money to print copies of the Lotus Sutra to give to people who could not buy them. For those of you who haven't read the Lotus Sutra was Dogen Zenji's go-to book. And it is, it's kind of it's a remarkable, it's kind of a mystery book in a way, because you never actually hear the Lotus Sutra. But the book is this thick. So the question is, why not? But to discover that, you have to read it for yourself. But this is the poem. I have a friend who says that in this time, we should stop opposing things and only be for things. And that's a very vibrant attitude, I think. But this poem is about not being defeated. And it's called, Do Not Be Defeated by the Rain. Unbeaten by the rain. Unbeaten by the wind. Bested by neither snow nor summer heat. Unbeaten by the rain, unbeaten by the wind, bested by neither snow nor summer heat. Strong of body, free of desire, never angry, always smiling quietly. Free of desire, never angry, always smiling quietly. Daily dining, 4 cups of brown rice, some miso, and a few vegetables. 4 cups of brown rice, some miso, and a few vegetables. Observing all things. Observing carefully, observing, watching, looking, examining all things with dispassion, no opinion, and remembering well. Observing all things with complete dispassion and remembering well. Living in a small thatched house in the meadow beneath a canopy of pines or steadfast pine trees. Living in a small thatched roof house in the meadow beneath a canopy of pines. Going east to nurse the sick child. Going west to carry sheaves of rice for the weary mother. Going north to tell those who quarrel to simply put aside these trifles. Shedding tears in time of drought. Wandering at a loss during a cold summer. How could this happen? Called useless by all. Praised by no one, but also not a nuisance. Such is the person I want to be. So this, I think, is winter practice. And winter is coming. So this poem may sound like a tall order. And I don't expect anybody to go home and copy it down and completely rearrange their life in trying to attain this. That's not why I read it. Do expect everybody to go home and practice this. But it's a wonderful aspiration. Tonight, we are going to have a special dinner for volunteers from Upaya. And I don't know any of these people's names, but they know that's not what it's about. But these are the people who go into the prisons and bring light. And these are the people who bring nourishment to the homelessness. And these are the people who bring these incredibly open hearts into a world that seems constantly trying to close itself down. You know, there's a dominant paradigm going around now, which is meme, I guess, on the internet. I'm trying to wean myself off the internet, but it's this came from Silicon Valley. It's kind of we have this beautiful mantra, gate, para sam gate bodhisattva, gone, gone, gone beyond, gone beyond, beyond, gone beyond, beyond, joy. They have a mantra, it's called move fast and break things. I kid you not. But anyway, this mantra seems to be getting some traction in certain quarters of the world. So what we're celebrating tonight is a group of people who move slow, care for things. And speaking for myself, that's the kind of person I want to be. Move slow and care for everything. Care for yourself, care for each other, care for the teachings, care for the center, care for the people you meet, care for the world. And that's all I have to say. I'll just toss in at the end, even though maybe it's not necessary. I would really, really, really encourage everybody who does not have a daily Zazen practice to please just start a daily Zazen practice. You can do it in 5 minutes. If you don't have 5, you can do it in 4. If you don't have 4, you can do it in 3. You can do it in 2. It can be done in 1, but it's not that great. So try to start with 5, work your way to 10, 15, 20. Pretty soon you'll find yourself sitting 50 minutes and you won't be able to live without it. I really encourage you to do that. And I really want everybody to practice this. There's no reason to be afraid. There is no rampaging elephant that can trample the Dharma or your good and honest heart. Remember to bow like the bamboo and stand like the pine tree.